But I'd love to kind of start at the beginning. So, John, where are you? Like, where do you live? What, like a bit of background?
Okay. Fair enough. I'm in Amsterdam at this moment. I live in Amsterdam at this moment. We'll see for how long. I'm from Canada, born in Toronto, and have kind of moved around a fair bit. I lived in California for a number of years, and came back to Canada and have moved lived in Calgary for a bit one summer, and moved to Paris with my late wife in 1991, and in 2008 we moved to Amsterdam together. So she passed away here last year. Yeah.
So last year. So you lost her last year. So you have you hit the 1 year mark?
No, it was on May 7th. So we are about 9 months out.
All right. And can you remember? So we're going to talk about Widow's Fire, of course.
I know.
Can you remember the first time? Maybe you didn't even know what it was called yet, but the thoughts and feelings first came about. And if you're okay to share a bit about the way she passed, or if there was an illness where there was.
Yeah, I'm fine with all of that. But thank you very much for asking.
Experience like an anticipatory grief.
Yeah, well, yes, which is the case for me. She was ill she was diagnosed with cancer in 2016 with breast cancer. She was diagnosed tardily with stage 4 breast cancer in 2016. So when they found it, it was already in her spine and her liver. And with a brief enough, far too brief period, at one point, she was in chemo for the entire time. So she had 8 years of chemo and a couple of years of radiation therapy, spaced out differently. Yeah, so she lost her libido immediately. Actually, she pretty much lost it a long time earlier because she had a first very cleverly found sort of early diagnosis of on an X-ray, a mammogram, pardon me, in Paris in 2002, and the radiologist very smartly saw something that he called a microcalcification, which none of us had ever heard of, and he said that's not cancer, but it could become cancer. So they took it out. They did a biopsy and they took it out, and she had radiation treatment then. That was her first one, and it killed her libido. So actually it had been pretty much, it stayed a little bit, but when the full thing hit, she lost it. So from 2002 onwards, not a whole lot, but we were in love the whole time with our human troubles and everything, but we were in love the whole time. But then from the diagnosis, the full diagnosis in 2016, no, nothing. Okay, full honesty, no holds barred. She did one time say to me, in the year preceding her death, said, "Just go ahead and use it if you want." I responded as I responded, probably something like, "Oh, honey, no, that's all right." But yeah. So the fire started. I'm still a long time ago. We'd had a sexual life and it was taken away, not through her desire, but she truly lost it. She didn't feel regret for losing it because she didn't have it, right? It was truly gone. It wasn't like a recovering from something. It was just gone. I'm
curious what kind of day it was where she said that, to have that kind of awareness that you were missing out and and any guilt she had to feel prompted to say that to you. What
Yeah.
I'd love to kind of just hear a bit more about that moment.
Yeah. I don't honestly know if I can remember accurately.
Because what maybe did cross your mind when she said it? Was there a part of you that had gotten used to the way things were?
Oh, I know. I think it's just we always slept naked together. Well, we always slept naked. And well, we always slept together. So I probably just, holding each other one evening was an evening, and I honestly don't remember, but what I can easily imagine as a relatively faithful reconstruction is that my hands kind of started to wander a little bit because we sort of owned each other's bodies, and it was probably around then that she said, "Oh, go ahead if you want. It doesn't bother me," which pretty much stopped me feeling from any kind of real erotic excitement, and just kind of broke my heart again all over again. But it was awfully sweet. She really meant it, just kind of innocently saying, "Oh, I don't mind that." It's like, do you mind if are you finished with that coffee? Oh yeah, no, go ahead, drink it. And it was kind of like that. It had no import for her, no weight. So I don't know if it wasn't guilt. I feel sure that she didn't feel guilt about it. I think she was just saying it was a generous offer in a sense. Oh, all right, yeah, you're in. Okay, yeah, sure, go ahead if you want. Weird, huh? It felt weird. Not weird. It felt otherworldly.
Yeah,
but the whole thing is otherworldly. Right?
Exactly. It can be hard to articulate the actual feelings in moments like that that are memorable.
We don't have a lot of guideposts for this. We don't have any guideposts for this kind of thing.
Yeah. And so what would you say that it was only when she was gone that you thought differently about what it all meant? Like talk us through what it was to lose her, have gotten sort of used to there not being that sexual aspect of your life, having a sex life, and then she's gone. So what were your thoughts around, okay, I guess now I have permission to pursue that if I wanted to, and how, what was that process like?
I guess it was a little bit incremental or gradual. I think my vision got sharper, if you will, or my radar kind of heightened without being able to actually articulate to myself that was what was going on. I think the word, I know why. I mean, I write. I'm a writer, among other things, and in a writers group, one of the fellow people in the course, one of the other writers wrote a short story while my wife was ill, but beforehand, and we had become friends. A short story that involved I can't remember the title of the thing, but it was about in a little town, women who would it was like the quiche club or something, the casserole club, whatever. Women who would like visit funeral homes and looking for bereaved men in order to get in there, and right. Older, right? And I would, in those terms, I'm not sure that I would classify myself as older, but I suppose I am. So, anyway, and that woman, the author of that story, it was a good story. She contacted me after my wife's passing and took me out and got me gratefully drunk. And in the course of conversation, I said, by the way, person, I'm remembering that story you wrote about the sort of cougars who whatever coming after the recently bereaved men. And she went, oh yeah, that story, yeah, I like that story, but I'm not one of them. I went, oh, okay. But the moment she said that, I thought, actually though, you know what, I wouldn't mind. And I think that was a real eye-opener for me. And then I started to more probably actively look, instead of just having sharper vision without realizing it. I started to actually use that vision, and yeah.
I met up with a widower on Monday, and he lost his wife a few months ago, and it's really interesting to sit across from someone who's in the fog and sort of knows that they're in the fog. And we talked about how you are surprised because you feel like a fully functioning person, but you know you're not. But you feel that you're making pretty clear, confident decisions. But you're also kind of like, but I imagine that later in hindsight, I will look back on this, and I probably in some cases I'm not. But I remember feeling like I feel all right.
Yeah. Even knowing you don't feel all right at all, but
yeah,
all right under the circumstances.
I'm able to walk around. Like, he was able to organize himself. He's got 2 young daughters, and he was able to organize himself to pick a spot for us to meet, to get together, and we're chatting about things. But I know he's in the thick of it. Yeah. It's like you can't possibly be okay, and yet you are just a fully functioning person walking around.
I mean, to be able to function, to be able to walk around, it feels gargantuan already. You know,
and what else are you going to do? What else? I mean,
I was just well, what else? Yeah, exactly. But there are things there. You know, some systems can just shut down, and maybe some people do. I don't know. I'm sure everyone responds in their own way. But I was just visiting a friend in the south of France, who came here, a dear friend of both of us, my late wife and myself. And I hadn't seen him since that. He came up. He was here when she passed, and was here for the stuff we did afterwards. And he made some comment at one point about how, yeah, you were just, you know, like utterly crazed and insane through that period. And I went, wait, now I don't remember it that way. I remember it as being, you know, I had like 10 people in my house, and I was actually managing things, and I cooked a meal for everybody. And he's going, no, man, you were out of your mind. But, all right.
Yeah, I've definitely had the same kind of experience.
Yeah.
You couldn't have possibly known. And it is kind of weird to hear that. I didn't really love.
Yeah, it didn't make me feel really good.
This widower that I just went out with on a few days ago, I asked him if there was a part of him, even though, you know, his wife just died a few months ago, if there was a part of him that was actually just excited, because he also had a wife with an illness, and he had heard about Widow's Fire about 6 months before she passed away, so he knew that it existed and what it was. And I asked him, is there a part of you that's actually excited to now be able to explore parts of you that you just haven't been able to? And I love that he felt safe to just admit yes, because it would be easy, even for me at almost 7 years, to now sit across from someone who's just lost their wife and almost be able to judge how soon it is. It was really fascinating for me, because
a little spark you can see.
I could see the ignorance even in myself, because I'd forgotten for a moment, a split-second moment, because I was thinking I had the fire for 2 years before I knew what the term was for it. And it hit me immediately, if not sooner, when my husband was sick. And I was very quick to want to have someone and do things and sex and stuff. So I was like you, and I was like him. It was, you know, a month, 2 months, and I'm seeing someone, and I have my first experience, and it was just, it was a reminder for me, like, of just how quickly it absolutely crosses your mind. Like, that's how this all started for me. Even this project was because it hit hard and fast, and
which is a great project, by the way.
Thanks, John.
Oh, I'm so grateful for it. Yeah. No, but it's weird. I mean, it does. And now, as you're talking, and I think a little more, I think, you know what? Yeah, I think it's been there right from the beginning. I think that my body knew, and it was going, the door has been opened.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And then it's where do you
Everything
go?
else takes time to catch up.
Yeah. You have the feeling, that natural, this like urge, desires, curiosities. So did it help you to know that there was a word for it, or how did you get to a point where you kind of knew what it was?
When I was told about it, I was passed, I was given word about it, and sent a link to the website, and my first thought, because it was a very kind message from the friend, a mutual friend, as it happens, isn't it? And she said, if I had no idea if this is indiscreet or indelicate, but this thing exists. Check it out if you want, but absolutely no pressure, John. Go for it. Do whatever you want. And I sat with it for a while, thinking, what the fuck? You can bleep that if you need to. I have no idea. But I did. I thought, what the fuck? What? How weird. And then I thought, well, honestly, John. And so I checked it out, and well, here I am now. Because the moment I think, I can acknowledge my own desires, but to express them out externally, to express them to somebody else, that's fearful. Because I know instinctively the judgment that's out there. I don't have to experience it to know that it's there, and I know that I'm being watched. And so to be in a group like this where it's okay to say the things we've just been saying is just incredible. It's so wonderful to have that liberty to know that there's no judgment going on whatsoever. It's just it's amazing. And to get a little frisky with each other online and all that, that doesn't hurt anything at all. It's nice. We all need outlets, and we can acknowledge our desires without having the outlets, as it were. You can say I want a hamburger, but McDonald's is closed. It doesn't mean you don't want a hamburger. I don't want a McDonald's hamburger, but whatever. So it's nice to know that other people want hamburgers too, and to do a little virtual hamburger run with each other.
What was your experience coming online? Was it, as you're describing it, sort of a way to take the pressure off, keep the pressure off, that there's a place to discuss and maybe connect with people and maybe meet people there, but you also are out in the world and remembering to see what goes on, walking down the street and looking at people, and how you use it as a tool, how and when you feel like, why would you log on to be, would it be in a moment where you're just at home and you're feeling lonely and it's, I wish I had a partner right now to do things with, and I'm frustrated, so I want to be around like-minded people who understand that. Like, how does the actual community become a place you can use for?
It's absolutely the community thing. Absolutely the my people thing. The loneliness doesn't really go away. It just simply doesn't. I'm lonely all the time, even when I'm with other people. I'm lonely. It helps being with other people. It diverts my mind, but otherwise, I'm constantly devastated. But to be able to express devastation and all that goes along with that, even the slightly more, the more very slightly positive sides of it, the thoughts that start to begin to look forwards, to be able to express those with people who are also in that position, that's invaluable. You can't put a price on that, because if I say it to anybody else, I know what I'm going to get, because I've already had it from people saying, "Oh, I'm going to call so and so in England," and she'll say, "Oh, sweetheart, it's just one day at a time. And you just got to get used to it all, and you got to like take a breath sometimes." And I just think, "Oh, just go fuck yourself. You don't know. Just stop it. Just talk with me. Just talk with me. I don't want your therapy."
Yeah.
Right?
What's it like? What was it like to read what both men and women were thinking? Did anything you read surprise you at all? But people are
I'm pleasantly surprised at the level of gentleness I find in a lot of the men that who are, I don't know, just guys like me, basically. I mean, I've had the good fortune to have an education, but I come out of a working class, a pretty impoverished background, and grew up in housing projects, and I've been a construction worker for decades and all that. So I'm really glad to see guys who are divulging stuff about themselves that you know, a lot of men really have trouble with that, and it's not. I'm not presuming that it's easy for everyone to do that, but it's really positive for me to be able to go in there and know that it's not. I don't have to rely on the presence of women to be able to have that sense of community that I can get, that is there with the guys as well. That's really important. It's different because men and women are different, but it's really important to me. It really matters.
I like the interaction between men and women being widows and widowers, because I think we can really help each other, because we are all going through the same thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
And I feel like there are the two people in a couple, like the romantic experience. And I think it's just so lovely to bring men and women together instead of separating out widows and widowers, because in a group call that we had with a bunch of guys on it, you were talking about, I wondered if should we just have just men's groups, and you were like, well,
no, definitely not. Thumbs down. No. That interaction is really important, and I think it's really valuable to everyone. You know, women get to see that men are people too, and vice versa. You know,
yeah,
and which isn't always. Lord knows we live in a practically in a society that has issues with gender. Let's say, to just keep it simple, and I think that there's something of value for everyone in that, to be able to have, when we're already hurting so bad and we're so vulnerable and impaired, basically, to be able to be in a place where you don't have to add that onto it. You're feeling attracted to women, you want women again, and you're there with women who are going through the same thing. I was reading somebody's comment just yesterday about how I remember I was just going out and looking at guys and seeing somebody. He was like on the street. He was probably 80 years old. I thought, not bad. And that just makes me feel so good. You know,
I love that.
It was really validating.
Yeah, that's it. We validate each other, right? And the waxer it is, the more normalized it is when you just say what's on your mind. It helps everybody so much. I love that we're so uncensored. And even in the speaking face to face, in these group calls that we're starting to do, I see,
which are great.
The range of it encompasses everything about us being able to reminisce about stuff that we enjoyed with our partner, while kind of I can feel this hope that we're all here because we feel it's still possible and it is happening for us. We're navigating this. And then being on a call with someone who's going through like a heartbreak feeling of it, something not working out with someone because, they're taking those risks and they're attempting these new scenarios. And then we can talk about that. We're not feeling this big, sense of like honoring and the loyalty to our partners who have died. We don't feel like we have to quickly, justify that and preface everything we say with, of course I love my husband, but I want to do these things and I met someone and this is, and all the laughter. And then also the support that I see people give each other and chiming in, and like, it just is a bit of everything to hang out with people who are romantic and lost their person that they were so used to, with.
Yep. Absolutely. Who are romantic really resonates with me as well. And we can't. All right, that's not. We're not giving that to each other in the group, but we're making it possible to feel this is how it feels to me anyway, that we're making it possible to sort of setting ourselves up to relax enough to be able to feel that again, you know. Because I get so wound up about stuff, and including about my desires, and it all starts to feel so uncomfortably important. And so I went through a thing yesterday. I'll give you. Can I do a little anecdote?
Of course, I want to hear all the.
So there's a woman that I've seen a couple of times. Okay, but. One sentence background. I have, in the last 4 months or something, spent the night in bed with 2 different women. We did not have intercourse, but we were in both cases naked and had erotic contact. And don't think the gritty details are necessary, but
they are fun.
They're fun. Oh, they're fun. I'm not sure how much. I mean. The poor audience want to know. Anyway, last night I was supposed to see the more recent of the 2 women. Julie, I wrote something to you on the side about her a little while ago. So we were supposed to get together, and she had been very clear that she didn't want to come here because here is my home. That's where I'm speaking from, and the home that my late wife and I lived in for 15 years. And she was friends with her, and she just said, I can't be there with you in this context, and I certainly can't sleep in your marital bed with you. And I said, I don't mind you at all being here with me in this context, but I don't want to sleep in the marital bed with you either. I'm not ready for that. That's the way it feels. And so we set it up that I would go to her place. She had to cancel, though, as it turns out, yesterday, and that was kind of at the last minute. So and cancellation of plans is really not high on my list of happy things right now, because it's all the atmosphere is pretty rarefied up here in these grieving zones, and you need all the oxygen you can get. So that made me feel really bad. And then I did something that I haven't done since I was a teenager, probably, which was to start going through a list of women who might possibly replace, even for the evening, or at least to give me enough of a sense of I think the word is definitely agency in my own life to be able to be all right with the evening, even if I don't see anybody right away. And so I ended up setting up a date with somebody I'd met on New Year's Eve, and we had a really nice time together. And she's single, and Lord knows I'm single, and so we're going to get together on later this week. And then I contacted another woman who had offered to have a drink, coffee, or a walk or something at some point, and she'd happened to write to me right around then saying, "So what about that coffee?" And I wrote right back to her saying, "You're on. Let's set it up." And then later at night, I talked with an old high school girlfriend. We had a video chat she's on the west coast of Canada, and we talked for about 2.5 hours probably online. And I thought, all right, I just took the reins, and I made a bad evening all right. Wow. That felt good, but it felt a little bit. I also, though, since then I've thought, since then being, I suppose, this morning, thinking, yeah, but don't get desperate here, John. You can just have, if somebody cancels on you, you can't have it. You can't be running around going through lists of ladies all the time. It's just that it's not the way I want to live, but I'm glad it was possible last night.
Right. And it's kind of, we're all sort of stumbling along in widowhood, finding our feet. So how could you not, do things to only then after reflect in hindsight, like, is that who I want to be? Are those the kinds of choices I want to make? You don't know unless you actually take some action. I feel like it's easy for some people to stay home and avoid and be afraid of what it would be, what it would mean to be dating, because it's going to be awkward and we're going to do things that then we might be like, oh, I don't know if I like that I did that. So you could only know how you feel about your approach if, through the trial and error.
It's true. And I know that I absolutely do not have the sort of psychological bandwidth right now to be able to figure everything out in advance. I can barely figure out what the hell I'm doing in the moment. So yeah, it's really yes to what you just said. You do it, you manage something, you get through it, and then to have the bit of space to reflect on it afterwards is great. But
something that you brought up to explore, which I'd love to, is honoring both grief and desires at the same time, and how do we reconcile them? How do we do them well? Expressing, indulging, being patient with, and most of all, not suppressing either one.
The not suppressing is really important to me personally. I just felt that with the death of my wife that I owed her, I had a duty to honor her by not running from the emotions that her passing brought up for me. I needed to, that I couldn't do the sort of the typical male, traditionally stereotypical male suppression and just stiff upper lip kind of approach, that I absolutely owed it to her to feel the grief as much as we'd had the honor of having the love. So if I'm going to move forward, and I'm continuing to do that, and I'm at the stage right now of slowly, I'm going to be leaving this house and the city, probably, certainly, really. And so I'm beginning to clear things out, and that means I'm going through her clothes, and I don't have a car because I live in the center of a European city that has things called public transit, so I don't need a car. But there are charity boxes for clothing, and so I took a couple of bags. Anyway, I'll avoid the details there. I've been taking them out, and I was offered progressively a couple of bags, green garbage bags, one in each hand, walking through the streets. And a friend offered to help me, and I gratefully turned her down, saying that no, I need to do this alone. This is so personal. This is between me and her, and I feel that that's the same really with so that's the grieving and not suppressing and sort of honoring it. But I feel exactly the same about the desires, my desires for sex, for erotic contact, and for love, for romance and that kind of and companionship. I feel the same about them. They need to be honored, and so like this. I think, well, to be honest, I don't know exactly how to do that. I'm not suppressing my desires for another woman, and to have time with another woman, but have yet to figure out to my satisfaction how to be with somebody else in a way that's fair to them. Because if I'm going to be honorable, if I'm going to be like that to my late wife and sort of our memory together, I owe that just as much to the person to come. And there's no instruction manual for that any more than there is for being a widow. So I don't know. I'm still trying to work that one out. But all I can think is that it's going to involve a lot of honesty and transparency that I'm not 100% sure is going to come easy. I doubt very much it's going to come easily, because it's going to be complicated stuff. The woman that I just mentioned, who had to cancel the evening last night, said to me the last time we were together, as we were holding each other, she said, had been talking about my relationship with my late wife, and she sort of pulled back to look at me a little bit and said, I loved her too, and that's all really great, and I really want to support you in this, but I have my needs. I have, and just need to not lose sight of that. And that was a really important eye opener for me. I hadn't really thought about it, I think, to be honest, that there's a risk for the other person as well in getting involved with me. I'm absolutely wounded, and I get that that's got to be kind of intimidating, maybe even frightful for somebody else, and it could be somebody, as is the case with this woman, who hasn't been with somebody for years. So there's a lot at stake for them too. They don't have to be a widow to be in the position of being vulnerable, and so I want to be. I don't know how to do it, but I want to find a way to not. I'm still thinking about the word suppression. I don't want to suppress my desire, but I don't want to suppress my feelings, and I've got to be just as right with the person as in this case as I would have to be if I wasn't a widow. So you don't lie to people. You have to be honest to people, right? You have to be honest with people. So I don't know, I'm kind of rambling on there. That was long. I'm sorry, but
I'm just loving how perfectly you're putting it.
Oh.
And by being able to describe it in this way, it's so authentic, and it just sounds like you are doing both things, even just by how you just talk.
You make me cry.
This is how it's done. I feel like you're an example of it, because you're so open, and like
I've been told that that's a fault before.
Well, we do need more of that, because it's so inspiring, because there is so much fear, and we can be, optimistic and excited, but then how could we not also acknowledge, I really just so appreciate how you just pointed out a bit of everything, the person on the other side of it, but finding it intimidating. And
but if I like her, I don't want to hurt her. I'm not there just to please myself. I mean, if you're going to get into a thing with somebody, you're in a thing. It's something new. It's not just you anymore. You've got to. And I have been an asshole so many times, and I've really screwed up and hurt people, and hurt my late wife. But and all those. I think we can all share our feeling that the fact that we've had feelings of regrets since the passing of our partner. None of us are perfect, but I owe to the next person the same thing. That just seems so clear to me. I've got to be decent with them.
Okay, do you have
fallible but decent?
Yes, and does any kind of a clear vision come to your mind ever about what an ideal romantic future looks like for you? Because the possibilities are endless, and you were married for how many years?
39 years. Well, we were together for 39 years. It took her 5 years to say yes to my proposal. I proposed to her the night we met. We moved in together a few months later, and it took her another 5 years to say yes, but I kept asking, and eventually she said, all right.
Wow.
She didn't say it that way, but
What a romantic indeed that
yeah.
that's how you fell for her.
Oh,
So
I knew. I just knew. And I don't know. I think
do you feel that you could know again? Like where's
yes,
your heart? Okay. Okay.
I do feel that I would know it. I think maybe that's just I don't know. I do. I don't feel that that's something that can be calculated. Not for me anyway. And I know people are different, but I don't. It's not something that I can't sort of create a spreadsheet and go, okay, right now this is working out here. I like the sum cell. It's going to be very far down and far off to the right. That cell there where the total is made, grand total. I don't. It doesn't work that way for me. I think for me that's cell A1 in the spreadsheet, and it starts blinking and horns go off the moment at very, very early on for me. Call me impulsive.
Would you say that you are enjoying dating?
That sounds a little premature, but yes, also. It's really heady. It's really exciting. It's been a long time, and it's just sort of dawning on me that it is actually really exciting. It's exciting in a fuller way than erotically exciting. The erotic anticipation is there. I was horny from the word, as I said, pretty much from the word go. But horny is a completely different thing. It's very animal, and that's not a moral judgment in any way. I think it's just true. It's a biological thing that doesn't have feelings and ethics and thoughts attached to it. It's just the body says, nice, and wants to go, right? Or not even nice, it's just I'm hungry. So, that which is absolutely fine, utterly fine. But what's the question? I lost my train.
Are you enjoying?
Oh yes,
enjoying dating, like the experience of it?
So I like the expression of the libido, but enjoying the dating, it's just occurring to me. And this thing that I mentioned about last night it was a bit of that. It's like, wow, from widower depression at having been canceled on for an evening I was really looking forward to. I all of a sudden had things go of one sort or another with 3 or 4 other women, and later at night that felt really good. I thought, okay, I have game, and it felt a little bit like that. Yeah, exactly. I got, well, okay, man. It's not over, and that's kind of cool.
Yes, it's not over, and that's kind of cool. Is such a great outlook. That's exactly what I hope for everyone, to be able to tap into that.
That is the first time I've said those words together, though. As I just said, it's a new thing. But I think it feels incontrovertible to me. It feels real. Is that, well, I wouldn't have imagined saying it otherwise. It just yeah. There's so how. I think that's something that I'm going to come to enjoy. But the interplay between that and the grieving. It's funny. I find that I look for the word to use. I just hesitated for about a quarter second before saying grieving, and it always is this binary thing that comes up: grieving or mourning. Mourning doesn't work for me. I'm not mourning. I'm grieving. Maybe that's the same thing, but mourning to me is like anyway. I don't find it appropriate. It feels like a cultural thing that you do, and you put on the black clothes and all that. I'm not in a period of mourning. I'm simply grieving. My heart is broken. So
yeah. And
anyway, yeah.
I think it takes time to get used to the fact that two things are happening at the same time, like the
Yes.
grieving and the dating.
Yeah.
Because it is something that needs getting used to. And if we want to keep living, then my belief is that there's not necessarily a great point in putting off starting something that's always going to feel bizarre. I think I was nervous that, well, if I don't just kind of get on with it, my thinking was let me get the first date, a first date over with, because I know it's not going to feel right. And then, and I walked home and I cried walking home, and
I
then
hear you.
years later, it's, a bad first date or whatever. It doesn't get me down anymore. But had I have postponed that process, so it's not like anyone taking their time that's wrong, or I really don't have any judgments on what people choose to do. I just am aware for myself that I wanted to get on with life, because I always knew it wasn't going to be great. It wasn't like, well, if I wait, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and then start dating, I'll be ready to do so. By then, I just knew myself, like, it's not going to help me to wait. It'll probably make it worse, because I'll probably build it up even more. I'll have more nerves. I'll be that much more out of the game. I'll be that, coming straight out of a marriage, I was like, I know how to be like a partner and loving. And so I thought, in many ways, I thought it would be pretty easy to just be out with someone and hit it off. and then you find out that people are, then it's having to start navigating the dynamics and different people being older and what their scenarios are and what they're coming with. And it's a whole thing that just, I felt like, might as well get started. I just love talking about dating and relationships. And, if it didn't work out, okay, fine. And I love hearing about scenarios, like when you're describing, since being in touch with you, there have been a handful of sort of, maybe this, will we, won't we? And I love that there's like a story with every person. Like, you interact with people and there's the possibility of a story being written there, even if it's just a short one. And, always rooting for my wids, like if they're going to get some, because that's like, in the end, it really is like a bonus, because the way you're describing the fullness, we want the companionship. We enjoy a lot of aspects, but it is so wonderful when someone does post, right, and share with us, something really fun and sexy that they got to experience. I think is such a great thing about being alive.
Well, being alive, there's a critical little phrase. Yes, being alive. Because, that's a huge thing for us, right? Sure as hell is a huge thing for me. I have not at every moment wanted to keep living. I have never wanted to kill myself. I've never wanted to die, but it was difficult to find any helpful reason to carry on. I couldn't find any inspiration for it. I didn't know. There were moments where I thought, oh, if a streetcar, no, not a streetcar. You know what I mean. Anyway, streetcar, that's just too messy. That's ugly. Anyway, I was not interested in dying, but I couldn't either drum up a whole lot of interest in living. So to begin to take enjoyment in life again, not to take it, just to find it, to even know that it's there as a possibility, that under this barren soil, there's a seed waiting to grow. Maybe, that's it's absolutely wonderful. There's a part of me that, though, that this is a little perverse, but I'm gonna bet I'm not the only one. There's a part of me that kind of hesitates, resists giving up on the grieving widowhood a little bit, because if it's another stage of letting go, another stage of saying goodbye, and so that I'm realizing that's also a thing for me to contend with. So the enjoyment has got to live, it's got to coexist with that the enjoyment also does mean it involves the two sides of the coin. It involves deeper goodbyes.
It can. That you're
It can,
absolutely right, and
yeah,
that
but
comes with a lot of mixed feelings. And yet, when you say about letting go, I mean, I feel it really depends on the time of day. You know, when you talk about something, because
I like
it's
that.
going to be, yeah, it depends what time of day it is. Because there's the really, I mean, you could think, yeah, maybe it's time to let aspects of my grief, you know, let it go, and then all of a sudden you're, you know, it's fully there again.
Yeah,
It's just, it's allowing so many things to be true at the same time, and not having to come to any concrete, definite conclusions about
yes,
literally anything about life or grief or sexuality, and allowing
yeah,
everything to constantly evolve and be okay with it staying so open-ended.
yeah.
I
I
have,
mean,
go ahead,
so
go ahead.
sorry. Just to clarify what I just said is that I don't think that that's the best side of grieving. What I just said, I think it's not really true grieving. The real grieving is those moments when the sadness overwhelms me. Then I am grieving. But that desire to hang on to the thing, I think, is just a little. I don't know what it is. Some weird little psychological game going on, sponsored by the brain. Without I'm not contributing. I'm not a contributing member. That just says this is it's very conservative. It's very just saying no. This is where you are. This is where this is what it is. And if you and you should not let go of this. I'm not articulating it well. Maybe it'll come to me.
I get it. Yeah, it's such a huge topic.
Yeah.
It's
I haven't thought about this before. It is, but I realize in talking about it poorly that it is actually there. It is a thing that says no, and I think it's a kind of a goodbye, a furthering of the goodbye. But I don't. I'm already. It's already really clear to me that stuff is just stuff, and actually that I've got her already inside me as much as is possible to have. I mean, she's not coming back, so there's no more that I'm going to get. So I've already got her, and she's not contained in the objects in the house, and she's not contained in my interactions with other people, and that includes romantic or physical interactions with other people. She's not contained in though. They're not part of what is still remains. So no, I think it's a grim little game that my brain is playing on me to do this. You need to hang on to the grieving in order for it to be real or something like that. No, I don't buy it, but I'm subject to it.
Well put.
I suspect it'll go because not long ago it wasn't conceivable to me to be able to say, yeah, I'm kind of excited about dating. Now this same woman who canceled the other night also said may have said to somebody else, oh, this is John, we're dating. And I could have dropped to the floor, I tell you. But it's a public thing. Dating, it's actually a thing. I haven't dated since I was it was a century earlier. It was a previous century. I haven't dated in a very long time.
I think it's great that the way life can it can surprise and delight. I'm so up for it.
It's bizarre though, but I feel like no, I don't feel this, but I'll say jokingly that I be careful because I could if I turn into a teenager again, look out.
So okay, so I have a couple more questions. One of them is, what has surprised you the most about the Widow's Fire? Has anything been a bit surprising about yourself? You know, when you're saying if about being a teenager again, look out. Is anything about you and Widow's Fire and the fire itself kind of caught you off guard, or you've been like, oh my gosh, I really didn't expect to feel that or think that, or anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, I suppose, I'm not sure if it's surprise exactly, but unexpected. So I suppose it amounts to the same thing. Just the broad scope of my possible attractions to women, having been focused on one person for so long, and to be fair, she was always that rather young woman who walked into the room 40 years ago now. So she didn't age in my heart, and I was still. That was the before, up until the second I met her, is the last time that I felt that I was looking for somebody. So those are what my memory or whatever knows what to look for, and so this is a very roundabout way of saying that I realize I can be attracted to women of all ages, younger than me, because that's what those were the images that I had at the time, or the feels and everything, nudge, but also, yeah, so women younger than me, but also my age or older than me. It just feels completely irrelevant now. And that's really cool. It's really liberating, and I feel a little bit like the person who put out the post, going, this old guy is 80 years old, or I'm heterosexual, so not that, but it's only 80 years old. I don't care. You're looking good. Why not?
Why not? Why not?
Yeah,
So,
it doesn't matter.
I have a feeling you're gonna say, oh, you're not in a position to give advice, but
I'm not.
But I would love to hear what has been most useful. If you were talking to another widower, what in these 9 months, anything or a few things that you can look back and feel, well, I'm really glad that I opted to do this, or it's going to be personal stuff. So it's not just advice, as some reflections that you would offer to men going through, this process, early days.
Yes.
What might you say has been, you're glad, you turned to, or, everyone has different circumstances, but what has been the best thing, for best case scenarios for you up until now?
To respect my own needs, to allow for them, to not shut myself down on things, and to including when something that somebody was saying, somebody who was well-meaning, did not take into account my grief or my desires. It's been really important to me, retrospectively, to be able to say to them, to actually say to them, to press the buzzer and go, no, try again, not working what you're saying, and I've got to allow that. It's not my nature, but it's not my natural go-to emotion to be, to assert myself and or to be aggressive, particularly, but to learn that it's okay to say to somebody who is saying something who isn't a widower and who is sort of shutting me down, tamping down my either my grief or my excitement about anything, to say, I'm sorry, I have the floor, and what I'm going through is more important. I don't care. I know you've got your own issues in life, but no. And this, I know this is not something that I would say to the person as advice, but I think if in talking with other people, other men, man, you be compassionate with yourself, and also really importantly in that regard, find people who know how to be compassionate as opposed to give advice. Don't look for advice. Find other people. This is why this group has been so amazing for me, to find people who don't immediately look for the set of rules to govern, to help you find the right line to toe. There is just people going, oh, I hear you. Yeah, been there too. Yeah, in fact, just last night. And you go, yeah, right, okay. And it's like you're in the trenches together. That is the kind of comradeship that I think a lot men can really understand instinctively, historically. But it's something to look for in this as well. That compassion, that not advice, and don't. That's an easy way out.
I love that. Your advice is don't go looking for advice.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I know, which doesn't make any sense. So don't listen to me.
No, but I love it because it's true. We need to explore for ourselves and let people know if what they're saying or doing is helpful or not helpful. And
we're alone. We've lost the thing that mattered the most to us. We've got to figure it out for ourselves. How the hell can anyone else figure it out for us? We got through our marriages, whether they were 3 months or 50 years. We got through those. We existed through those by working it out with that other person. We don't have that person now, and there's, until we deal with ourselves and figure ourselves out, then we're not going to have another person. So we've got to listen to ourselves and listen to other people who are going through the same stuff. To me, it just seems clear. It's the only way.
And it's true that we're not going to, until we do that work, we're not going to have another person, or we're not going to have another person for the right reasons.
Yeah. And it won't last, will it? If we do it for the wrong reasons, it ain't going to work.
Thank you, John. This has just been so insightful for me. For me, selfishly, I like to talk to other widows and widowers so that I can feel better as well.
Likewise. It really is therapeutic.